Browns fans, listen up. Can you imagine a true legend wearing the orange and brown helmet once again? I know we're all thinking about it, because this week, a familiar face was spotted back in Cleveland, and the words he dropped about a potential return have the entire city buzzing. Is a reunion actually on the table, or are we just letting our hearts get ahead of our heads? I've got all the details on this situation and what it could mean for our young offense. Before we break it down, smash that like button, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. The return of Nick Chubb to Cleveland this week during the University Hospital's Sportsland event has ignited significant conversation among the fan base. While the legendary running back was in town to address the career-altering knee injury he suffered against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football in 2023, the focus quickly shifted toward his future. As an unrestricted free agent, Nick Chubb addressed the possibility of a return to the Browns, stating, "Obviously Cleveland is a special place to me. Being drafted here by Jim Brown and my time here was truly special, but you never know what can happen." This acknowledgement from Nick Chubb regarding a potential comeback has captured the attention of the Dawg Pound, even if a reunion remains purely speculative at this stage. It is clear that Nick Chubb still holds a deep connection to the city where he spent the vast majority of his professional career. However, the logistical reality of bringing back a 30-year-old running back who has endured significant leg injuries contrasts sharply with the current roster-building philosophy implemented by general manager Andrew Berry this offseason. The team has intentionally shifted toward a younger, more cost-effective roster, leaving many to wonder if a veteran of his caliber fits the long-term vision of this new front office. Despite these challenges, the mere mention of his name continues to resonate deeply within the fan community. The narrative surrounding Nick Chubb is not just about nostalgia. It is about evaluating whether a player who has given so much to the franchise could play one final chapter in his career in a familiar setting. As we analyze the situation, the emotional weight of his potential return remains a central topic of discussion. When evaluating the potential for a reunion, it is essential to look at the numbers Nick Chubb produced during his most recent season. Playing away from the Browns for the first time in his career with the Houston Texans, Nick Chubb appeared in 15 games and started 9. During that campaign, he recorded 122 rushing attempts for 506 yards and 3 touchdowns, maintaining an average of just over 4 yards per carry. While these stats suggest he still has production to offer, it is important to weigh them against the current depth chart. With the team relying on Quinshon Judkins, who finished his rookie season with 230 attempts for 827 yards and 7 touchdowns in 14 starts, the starter role is clearly occupied. Nick Chubb would not be coming in to be the primary workhorse, but rather a contributor. This specific dynamic is why the conversation remains relevant. Why does this matter right now for the team? The answer lies in the massive turnover the roster has experienced. After a period where the team struggled to find consistency, the organization has pivoted to a much younger core. With a first-time head coach in Todd Monken and 3 inexperienced coordinators, the locker room is currently devoid of the veteran presence that once defined the franchise's identity. Bringing back Nick Chubb would provide a steadying force for younger talents like Judkins and Dylan Sampson. In a league where victories are often determined by narrow margins, having a veteran who understands the intensity of high-stakes football could be the difference between winning and losing tight games. While the front office has focused on youth, the practical value of his leadership cannot be ignored as the season approaches. The team's evolution under Todd Monken highlights a dramatic shift in organizational philosophy. With only 9 players remaining from the 2023 playoff run, the current iteration of the roster is significantly younger and less experienced. The offensive line has undergone a major retooling, and the arrival of run-game coordinator Travis Switzer brings optimism, especially considering his success in revitalizing Derrick Henry in Baltimore. Furthermore, the addition of young receiving targets like Casey Conception and Denzel Boston creates a new dynamic intended to complement the rushing attack. Amidst these sweeping changes, the presence of a player like Nick Chubb, who was drafted by the team and carries the weight of institutional memory, would stand in stark contrast to the current landscape. Denzel Ward, the longest tenured player from the 2018 draft class, is currently the anchor of the defense following the transition from Myles Garrett to Jared Verse. In this context, Nick Chubb would serve as a bridge between the past era and this new, untested group. His experience is not just limited to running the football, it is rooted in his ability to lead by example, a trait that the young players mentioned earlier would undoubtedly benefit from. While the team hopes that the defensive unit can maintain its competitive edge without its former cornerstone pass rusher, the reality is that the offense is largely a blank slate. By incorporating a seasoned veteran like Nick Chubb, the team could potentially stabilize a unit that is transitioning into a new offensive scheme. It remains a fascinating hypothetical, as the organization evaluates how to best support their young core while navigating a highly competitive and demanding professional season ahead. While the idea of Nick Chubb returning is undoubtedly appealing, the financial and structural constraints of the team must be acknowledged. Andrew Berry has spent the entire offseason stripping away long-term high-cost contracts to position the franchise for future flexibility once the obligations to Deshaun Watson are finally off the books. This strategic pivot makes the acquisition of a veteran running back seem less likely from an administrative perspective. However, the conversation triggered by his comments at Sportsland has forced fans to consider the potential upside of his presence. Even in a reduced role, Nick Chubb could assist in the development of the backfield tandem of Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. The transition to a new offensive staff, led by Todd Monken, suggests that the team is looking for a specific type of efficiency in their run game. Travis Switzer has clearly defined his methods for maximizing production, and if Nick Chubb is willing to embrace a mentorship role, his technical knowledge could be an invaluable asset to the new staff. Yet, the team's commitment to building a younger and faster roster has been consistent throughout the spring and summer. Every decision made by the front office has been geared toward the future, and there is no explicit indication that they are currently searching for depth at the running back position. This tension between the potential value of a returning legend and the current path of the organization creates the primary conflict in this ongoing narrative. Fans are left to weigh the benefits of a veteran locker room presence against the realities of a team that is clearly focused on building for 2027 and beyond. Ultimately, the future of Nick Chubb remains a captivating subplot for followers of the team. Although he noted that you never know what can happen, there is no formal indication that a contract offer is on the table, or that the organization plans to deviate from its current youth-focused trajectory. The contrast between his established legacy and the current, inexperienced roster creates a natural narrative of what might have been or what could still be. As Todd Monken prepares his team for the challenges of the upcoming season, the emphasis remains on the development of players like Casey Conception, Denzel Boston, and the running back committee. The defensive side, spearheaded by the transition to Jared Verse, is equally focused on proving that the team can remain competitive despite significant personnel changes. For Nick Chubb, the priority is likely finding an opportunity that fits his current health and career goals. Whether that leads him back to Cleveland or to another destination, his comments have served as a reminder of his lasting impact on the city. Fans will continue to monitor the situation closely, waiting to see if the door, which he left slightly ajar, will ever be opened wide enough for a return. Until then, the focus will remain on the players currently under contract who are tasked with carrying the torch. The story of Nick Chubb in Cleveland is one of the most significant chapters in recent history, and his public acknowledgement of that bond ensures that he will remain a central figure in the minds of the supporters. While the dream of a reunion is fun to explore, the practical reality of the NFL will ultimately dictate his path forward in 2026.